I like your metaverse.
I Googled a Bitcoin rich apartment on Google.
Nice.
And that's what came up. I do see the Bitcoin pillows.
Yeah, that's what came up.
So your ceiling really doesn't look like that, is what you're saying?
No, unfortunately not.
Since you guys are on the show for the first time, and there will be folks listening later, do you want to take a second and just, introduce yourself to the listeners? Mihir, you had that fabulous idea of like, wouldn't it be great? We should do a sit down with everybody and get like their one-on-one. But in the meantime, take a second and introduce yourselves to folks who might not know who you are, where you're from, what do you do, and your story with the Faceless Many. And I'll take a bite of my sandwich.
Go ahead, Mihir, you go first.
Okay, well, I guess for everyone who's listening, hey guys, I'm Mihir. I'm from Australia, so like the down south, down under of crypto. And I guess in my Web2 life, I work in sort of the cybersecurity IT area. I guess like my first foray into crypto was like during my degree, I did like a course on blockchain 101 before I knew what like Bitcoin was, right? Like I didn't know anything. And then during my degree, I was like, oh, there's this dude named Satoshi Nakamoto, just doing some pretty cool stuff. So that's like how I first learned about it. And I was like, I didn't graduate that long ago, like 6 years ago or something like that, 4 years ago, something like that. But that was like my first foray into it. And then I sort of started dabbling back and forth. I bought this excellent coin called XRP. And I wrote it all the way up to $3. And then it went all the way to 5 cents. And I bought the top at $3.20. I bought the very, very top. So, that was an interesting experience. But then, so I stopped investing for a while. And then a few years later, I was like, Dogecoin seems to be rallying. Maybe I should get in on that. And then I guess sort of the meme coin, shitcoin craze brought crypto back into my life. And then I joined Faceless Crypto and I met all these wonderful people. But yeah, that's about it, I guess, so I'm an IT professional by trade, but still learning the blockchain world. Yeah.
We're still trying to get me here to do like bedtime stories. I'm pretty sure that would be a killer revenue stream for the Faceless Many, or just for you. Like, throw your face or not your face, but I think your face would help sell it. A personal website with like the 30-second preview of Sam I Am, eggs on, green eggs and ham or whatever. And I don't know. You could sell them for like $5 a copy. Make them NFTs, dude.
I'll put on a heavier Australian accent just to go with it. Crikey, mate. We're on with it.
Man, I wonder, do you still hold XRP? Did you buy back in? Did you sell and buy back in?
I held it for all 5 years that it went down.
Wow.
What a champ, dude.
And then I sold it at the bottom and then it went up. So, my faith is gone, man. My faith is completely gone. But it teaches you lessons. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's how we do it. We buy at the top, we sell at the bottom, right?
That's the only way.
Sometimes that is the case. Absolutely.
Yeah. Joe, do you want to go?
Yeah. I'm Joe. I live on the East Coast, right outside Philadelphia. I am a assistant principal in a public school district in my area. I'm entering my 21st year, I believe, of education. First as a math teacher and now as an assistant principal, going on my 10th year for that. I really was not involved with any sort of investing or cryptocurrency or anything until 2020 hit. And I think like many, we took more of an interest in the stock market and in, some financial literacy pieces. And I started with the stock market, buying and trading and doing some of that, had some success with that in 2020. And then shifted over to crypto in 2021, just started to hear more about it, get more interested in it. And then I found, briefly or shortly into my foray, I found Faceless Crypto. And what I loved about that Discord was the focus on education, being an educator myself, and the fact that there was just so many people that were helpful, that didn't mind my stupid questions and my noob questions, for lack of a better word, and really helped me grow and learn. And I owe a lot to the group from there. I'm happy to kind of be able to give back and help it grow.
Man, good answer. Your name is so fitting, The Guide. I feel like you talk about stupid questions, but when I came in to the Discord, I think it was around the same time everybody else. I think I came in a little later. But
I was April of 21.
I was like right at the end of April, I think, or the beginning of May. And I had been trying to learn about crypto. I had, bought some years, like a very small amount, kind of forgot about it thing. And then when I started to get blockchain, I was like, oh man, I got to learn about this stuff. I want to learn more about this stuff. And I was on TikTok and I was, looking through Discords, and everything sucked, honestly. I just hadn't found the right place. I'm sure everything was great, and maybe it was my attitude, but and I remember coming into Faceless and feeling like, you asked great questions, but you were somebody who taught me a lot. You both were. Everybody in that Discord was so helpful and so selfless with their knowledge. I always tell people it was a place where you could ask your questions, then you could share what you learned. And it was like a multiplier, because some people were into DeFi, some people were into real estate, some people were into whatever. And we just kind of all brought it back to the group.
Everybody wanted to pay it forward. Everybody wanted to share their knowledge and to learn from each other, which was really, really special. And Tori says, I guess you were from around Philly from your other streams. I guess, is my accent that bad?
I love that we've got such variety, though, represented. You got that. You got Mihir. You got me. I am told more and more that I really do sound like a person from the South. And I don't know if that's true, but you got diversity.
Absolutely.
Diversity of dialect. This has nothing to do with anything, but I was thinking about dialects. I swear I was thinking about this before we got on to record. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to have some really like disparate sounding voices. That'll be really fun. And I was going to ask you guys, I was going to run through some words with you later. I had a list, if I can find it, because that's one of my favorite games to play. Outside of crypto, one of my favorite games to play is finding out that somebody who speaks English says this or that word completely different from me. It's very nerdy, very silly, but I like it.
Are there any words you guys can't say? Like I struggle to say abominable.
Yeah, okay.
Like abominable snowman.
Yeah.
I've always found it weird how there's some words that people just can't seem to say.
I have a real hard time. There's a congressman right now from Colorado, and I'm pretty sure his last name is Auchincloss. Auchincloss, I think is how it is. But every time I go to say it, it's like Auching. I always say Auchincloss.
That surprised me, because you are usually very, not just articulate, but like I don't know what the word I'm trying to find, but like really like good with your pronunciation. Like you don't mumble. You are very clear. Yeah, enunciation. Thank you. Like very clear.
Thank you. I have worked hard to become so. And I will tell you, the thing about it, honestly, is confidence. When you enunciate, people think you're confident. And I, as a result, have failed spectacularly. Joe, you would get a kick out of this. I was in an English class one time, and for the first time, I read the word paradigm out loud. And I said it like paradigm. I had no idea the G was silent. And I also, what else did I say? I've had a couple like that. The word BANAL. How do they say that in Australia, Mihir?
BANAL.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It
banal?
means like, yeah. Banal is how a lot of people pronounce it. But I was like banal, and everyone was like laughing at me. And so whenever
don't take the B away. Yeah.
Right. It means, banal just means like something inconsequential, something that blends in, an insignificant, unimportant detail. It was banal.
Gotcha.
But that's a good lesson that I a lot of like, just say it with confidence.
Yeah, man.
Make it till you make it.
I feel big. There's a challenge going around TikTok right now. Every now and then, Kim and I, when we're, I'm making a video or she's showing me a video, we'll get on TikTok together just because, I'm working and she's like, what can I send Evan to distract him? And she always sends me like fun little, we love words. And there are a bunch of videos that are like, see if you can pronounce all these words correctly, or it'll say the word and it's like, see if you can spell this word correctly. And we'll just sit down for like 20 minutes and we'll get really competitive and we'll start doing those back and forth. I took us way off track, but I hope you don't mind.
Kim has a much more noticeable accent than you do, I feel.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I'm not from Memphis. I grew up
you're
mostly in
originally
Michigan.
from Vegas, right?
Yeah, Vegas to Michigan, and then honestly, I really worked hard to just adopt what they call the standard American dialect for acting. They want you to sound. I think mostly I sound like a guy from Michigan because I have a very like nasally voice, like kind of reedy, but I try to remove it as much as I can. I called my mom one time. I was on the phone with her and I think I said, I love you. And she was like, wow, Evan, you really sound Southern. I guess I said it like, I love you.
Tori says she's from Ohio, and that's the accent they use for the news. I was unaware of that.
Oh, very cool. I have a friend from Southern Ohio, and he sounds like he's from Mississippi. He's like, hey, guys, what's going on? I was like, dang, bro. And from Atlanta, New England here, I would say that like Worcester. If I was talking about
Worcester.
That's what I would say.
Is
Worcester.
It? Worcester, yeah.
I don't know if it is. That's how I would say it, though. Worcester.
I feel like I know people who are from the Boston area who say that word like Worcester. And if we're in the kitchen and it's Shire, like I would say Worcestershire.
Worcestershire, yeah.
Or Mihir, you said Worcester?
Yep, Worcester.
There's got to be a place in Australia called Worcester. It sounds like there really would be.
I'm with Paul there, breaking it down, Worcester, and B guys Worcester.
Worcester. Yeah. I used to know this guy. His name was John Steigels. He was like 6'7", old Irish priest, had a big beard, kind of a Boston thing. Father John Steigels. I don't know. I made him New York there, but he was like one of the nation's foremost experts on marriage customs of Romani peoples who had resettled in America and Irish travelers. And he used to get called
very specific niche.
I was
hyper specific.
Thinking the same thing.
We worked at a seminary together. I was in fundraising there, and he used to get calls all the time. He was always gone on the weekends because all these Irish traveler families wanted him to do their weddings. He would go to New York. He would go to, wherever they were. And he was gone like every single weekend. And he would just go like party it up with the Romani people and the Irish travelers and just come back. And he was like their guy. If you can get, it's a good gig if you can get it. I guess it's a niche, but he had it cornered. I don't know.
So big shout out to everybody in the chat there. Thanks for throwing out your homes. Some Northeast. Neil saying Midwest is represented.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys want us to talk about any specific topic in general,
topics or questions, throw them in.
Yeah, throw them in. I was thinking we could talk a little about the ETH Merge that's coming up. I have this article that's a super good resource. A lot of people are spreading misinformation about that, and it just might be helpful to cross our T's, dot our I's straight from the head honcho Vitalik.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, so we were talking about Faceless Crypto, though, and I wanted to ask you both.
Yeah, ask us what you wanted us to ask us.
Yeah, exactly. Around the time I came to Faceless, I was trying to learn more about blockchain, learn more about crypto, felt really at home in the community. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I was like really wrestling with my place in the world, personally, professionally, before crypto. And I was like ready to pull like a John the Baptist and go to the wilderness and live without money and eat locusts and just like retreat. And it was really the community and more specifically like this possibility that I felt that there's just so much to be done here that could be so good for people in all the ways I feel like everything around us is getting wrong right now. And I felt like a lot of people in that server got it. And when Mac reached out, it was like the opportunity I was looking for, but I didn't know it. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to ask you guys about in terms of like, when you said yes to the Oracle's call to become more involved, help out, launch an NFT project, bring Faceless Labs to the people. I mean, were you at a similar point? Had you entertained that idea at all? What were you guys thinking about, cryptocurrency? Was it the same kind of thing for you? Did you feel like
speaking just for me, I saw it, as I said, I saw it as an opportunity to give back to a community that I thought had given me a lot. I had no idea what exactly I was agreeing to or where the path would lead us. I had no idea we'd be, I'd be part of a team that launched, a $2.4 million NFT project and more to come from there. I was just looking to give back to a community that had given me so much, and I was happy to offer whatever I could.
Yeah, for me, I guess first of all, Evan, I want to say, unfortunately, you look like you go to the wilderness and eat locusts for fun.
Like, I have to interject to say here, for anybody who doesn't know this about Mihir gives the best, like, I love you, but like scorching burns. Mihir kills me with his humor every day.
I
love that about you. I know, and I love that about you because it's so accurate, though.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like the same thing as you. I guess, like, to reiterate, first of all, and we'll get into like our, how we started in Faceless Crypto and like later podcast. But like, firstly, we didn't even know we were doing like the Faceless Many project when we first joined, right? Like, we had no idea that we were going to launch an NFT, all that stuff. But it was really just Mac. I remember he asked if anyone wanted to help be leaders in the community, and I was like, I felt it was a good way to sharpen my knowledge of blockchain. Is like, if you can explain it to someone well enough, then it means you've understood the subject matter well enough. So I wanted to sort of like improve my own knowledge at the same time, like help people understand exactly what was going on, because we were in the meme coin, shitcoin craze, right? Like, and people didn't know what the technology was. They were just like, oh, this might make me $10,000, if I put in like 2 cents. And that's what they were getting in for. So I guess I wanted to sort of help, rectify that misinformation around. And then after like, I think it was like a week or two, Mac was like, oh, surprise, we have this NFT project. I'm like, oh, sick. So yeah, that's the story.
Yeah, and I remember even like Mac was like leaning in that direction, but I remember feeling like it was so uncertain because it was like, we want to take Faces to the next level. We got this artist. Let's talk about it. And then just like what amazed me was how everyone was kind of like on the same page in terms of the vision for like, what is Faceless Crypto, and everyone had the same kind of ethos. About all these just regular everyday people coming together to learn and share and do better, to give back, to learn. And it was like, just kind of, it was impressive to me how it snowballed and how much synergy there was. I feel like I've been in a lot of rooms where it's not even like productive disagreement. It's just like, I don't know. It's just not, it felt inspired, I felt like we were like on fire.
Well, and Mac and Alex have said it a lot. Like the fact that like we all came together, and the skills that everyone brings to the table, and I'm always impressed by you, Evan, and by Mihir, and by Michael and his like jack of all trades, can do almost anything technology wise. It's amazing the talent that we just happen to volunteer for this project. And if you went out and tried to hire people to fill these roles, I don't know if you would find more perfect people than the people that just volunteered because they felt strongly about a community.
Well, and then honestly, to the community it attracted, like every single one of the people who's watching here, I'm sure pretty much every single one of the people who's listening, all the people who showed up and added to the project, and like, I don't know, it's the A team, and it just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, and to your point, as you said, back then the reason this all started was because we were thinking about how can we elevate Faceless Crypto. And that's still what we think about every single week, right? Every single meeting that we have, it's like, how do we take it to the next step? And it's just about taking it further and further and further. sustainably so that we can last, for the next 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it may be. And I just saw Neil posted a good comment that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So Neil stated, what is it? Are stablecoins necessary? I could make an argument for no. So that's an interesting one, right? Up until, probably a few months ago, I was also sort of feeling the same. I was like, we have the US dollar, we have the Australian dollar, et cetera, et cetera. Why do we need stable coins? Like, is it just for these crazy yields? Like, are people just trying to get, 20, 40% APR? Is that the only reason stable coins are needed? Like, why do we need it? Because, like, for me, I can transfer Australian dollars to my Binance and then buy with Australian AUD as well, right? Like, I don't even need to use like USDT or anything. But then I was watching a podcast by Kevin O'Leary. I don't know if you guys know Kevin from Shark Tank.
Is he Mr.
Dude.
Wonderful, the bald
He
guy?
is.
Mr. Wonderful.
Yep.
Mr. Wonderful.
Okay.
And he's very much into crypto. He's starting to do like different projects under like
But he
WonderFi
wasn't
or
always,
something
right? Like,
that.
didn't he used to be like kind of a like
Yeah.
like
a
many
fraudster?
like many through 2017 through 2019 he was poo-pooing it and talking it down, and it was the worst thing ever. And then he realized realized the gains he could have, or is really into the technology. I don't necessarily know which one is which, but he has been a proponent for it, we'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, that's where it comes in, right? Like it was a 20 VC podcast titled Kevin O'Leary from Bear to Bull Shark, his journey. And the reason why he changed his mind on the entire blockchain space was stablecoins. That's what caused him to change his mind. It wasn't Bitcoin, it wasn't Ethereum, it was stablecoins, right? So what happened was, Kevin is a big businessman, right? He works with sovereign nations. He manages like Saudi prince money. He manages like fucking the Queen of England's money, right? He has to work between several nations. And his entire thing was, up until now, every time he wanted to transfer money to another nation to like help them, whatever they needed, right? Or like manage their stocks in other nations. Every time he needed to transfer USD, he needs to send it to an exchange company. The exchange company would then need to trigger an exchange rate. Then the exchange company like Western Union would need to send it to the Prince of Saudi's bank account. There was so many middlemen, so many processes. And he said sometimes it would take up to 3 days for the funds to transfer across. And then on top of that, he would be charged fees 3 different times in the transaction, right? So you have this big business mogul where it takes him 3 days to transfer money. And he works with, let's say, 1 million clients. You can see how much effort that is just to transfer money back and forth. And one day he is just like, he got introduced to stablecoins, right? And he was like, let me test this out. He transferred USDC from a wallet for a transaction, instant, 2 seconds, done. Business transaction done. And his entire thing was, wow, there's so much sovereign wealth and trillions in capital that are struggling to make financial payments across the border. And you have USDC doing it in mere seconds. So his entire thing was, if we want adoption, it's not Bitcoin that should be adopted first, but stable coins, because stable coins are what real big businesses will actually utilize and need. And stable coins will save big businesses a fortune. And that made me realize, okay, stable coins are needed because at the end of the day, bank transfer doesn't work, but USDC and stablecoin and like blockchain transfers are near instant. So now he is actually working actively to try and regulate USDC and Circle before Bitcoin, because he thinks that's the way we get mainstream adoption.
And I mean, I agree with everything that Mihir said, but my lens is always. I mean, I'm a big believer and user of decentralized finance, and you can't have decentralized finance without stablecoins. You need the ability to transfer into stablecoins or use stablecoins or to make those swaps, to make those changes, to make those trades. A lot of the liquidity is done through stable coins. Like you need to be able, if you want to go from Bitcoin to ETH, you need a middle, you need something to transit it. And you don't have, as you do on Coinbase or on Binance, you don't have USD. Like you don't have any in between, any middle piece there to do those kind of transactions. So you don't have DeFi without stable coins.
I also think stablecoins breed innovation. Yes, Luna crashed. Yes, it was a major mess up. Algorithmic stablecoins we've learned do not work. But, stablecoins breed innovation. Banks don't innovate with your savings accounts. We have a bunch of people trying to do like all kinds of innovations to try and help fight people's inflation, right? And it may end badly. Some of them might crash, but through these bad results is how we progress. You can't progress without innovation, without all these companies trying and failing. And without stablecoins, I feel like we wouldn't have innovation on our savings accounts.
I really think that we're about to hit like we had DeFi summer. I think we're about to hit a stablecoin, fall. I really think people are trying to figure out the stablecoin, and my personal opinion is in alignment with what you guys said. I really think that stable coins and smart contracts are going to be like the vehicles that get to consumers first, that are made easy like an iPhone or a credit card for your mom and your grandma and your kids to use to get on the blockchain to have value. And the other thing I think that's interesting is the US government has a real vested interest in, or at least they have said that it's on their agenda as they look to regulate cryptocurrencies. That congressman whose name I can't say, Jake Auchincloss, I looked it up, Auchincloss. He had a space the other day. He was on with Chris Dixon on Twitter, and he gave kind of Congress's agenda re-cryptocurrency, the crypto literate people who are on the, I don't remember the subcommittee in the House. But essentially he was saying that it's really one of their goals as lawmakers is to protect the sovereignty of the US dollar. He said, we cannot allow anyone to compete with the US dollar. Without a sovereign dollar that represents the primary form of currency, we risk destabilizing our financial markets and possibly could destabilize global markets. So we must protect the valued merits of the US dollar, both in cash and digital form. And I'm sorry, this was not his speech. This is a rep, Ms. Garcia of Texas, but he did iterate this on the space, the same kind of thing. They feel that stable coins that are not tied to the US government, that are not centralized, that they present a risk to the hegemony of the US dollar. And I think that's really interesting. The World Economic Forum has kind of sounded that trumpet too. I think they're trying to position themselves as like hey, if you need to have a digital currency for your government, let us do it. I think they've done some really innovative and interesting stuff, but also a lot of stuff that, because of my desire to have a decentralized future, or a more decentralized future, one where it's not just centralization, but where we can access the spectrum and move along it as we need to. I feel like that's kind of just, protecting the old guard.
Well, I mean, and it makes sense that they would say that. They don't want anything that they can't have some control over. I mean, you saw it with the Tornado Cash, sanctions that came through.
Was that crazy or what?
So, but the fact that like Circle is a publicly traded company, so they are going to go along with whatever sanctions the U.S. government puts out there, and you saw that they froze, any USDC that they deemed to be, ill-gotten or somehow connected to the Tornado Cash, and they want that control. And again, some people might be like, well, that's good because, 70% of that money is probably hackers anyway. But like, that's the Kevin O'Leary calls it the cowboy culture of crypto. That idea of decentralization, everyone is in charge of their own, as long as I don't hurt you, I don't have any effect on you, kind of like it's a bit of the Wild West. You just take care of your own, and everything is quote unquote legal. Code is law. But the other part is, decentralized stable coins, they are gaining in popularity. Now, there's a difference between what Mihir said in algorithmic stablecoins versus decentralized stablecoins. All algorithmic stablecoins are decentralized, but not all decentralized stablecoins are algorithmic. Algorithmic relies on an algorithm, a formula to keep the peg at the $1. And every single one has eventually crashed and burned. Terra Luna being the biggest, the UST being the biggest one to happen. Whereas you have a decentralized stablecoin in like DAI, where it's based on a collection of assets that is over collateralized. So if the peg were to drop, they use the over collateralization to help reset the peg. So that no one is in control of DAI. DAI exists on the Ethereum network and in other networks, and no one can hit the button and lock DAI down like they could USDC. So I think that there will be more stablecoin innovation in that decentralized area of over collateralization in other ways, but I'll be honest, I will never trust another algorithmic stablecoin again.
Yeah. You know, it's maybe a hot take, but
hot takes with Mihir.
I think I am not all for decentralization. I think decentralization is a very it's not always useful, you know. It's like, let's say, first of all, Ethereum, right? Ethereum is decentralized. One tweet from Vitalik saying he's going to dump his ETH will watch ETH free fall to the ground. Is it decentralized? How is it decentralized in any way? Bitcoin, yeah, sure. It's decentralized because there's no CEO of Bitcoin, right? At the same time, you have whales that can manipulate the market in a second. A market maker will dump on us at any second. Is that really decentralized? You know, and it is, but at the same way, it's easy to manipulate still. And at the end of the day, you know, when something crashes, right? Like when, let's say, your internet computer or whatever technology you're using, right? You're using the internet computer, you know, to access apps, et cetera, and then it crashes. In a decentralized world, you don't have a support center or a call center to call. You don't have technicians to help you. As a corporation, why would you want that? Let's say everything crashes. You can call AWS and be like, hey, you know, I have this issue, et cetera. And, you know, I may be wrong. ICP may have a call center. But with decentralization, you don't have that support for whatever you need. And corporations, why would they want that? You know, at the end of the day, decentralization works in the scenarios Joe mentioned where, like, you know, a stablecoin company crashes, or like, you know, a company like Celsius crashes. In a decentralized world, you can just pull that money out because no one owns it. But in terms of like corporations and day-to-day living, I don't think decentralization translates into better quality of life. I think it translates into worse quality of life, which in certain scenarios can save your ass.
Yeah, I think you've seen that a little bit in, you know, I know when the Ukraine-Russia war started, you saw a lot of people relying on crypto to get across the border and to pay for things. And like that was an example of decentralization being incredibly useful. But I think that decentralization is going to come to a head if we want real adoption. I think those two things are not going to play nicely over the next 2, 3, 4 years. I think that's we're going to have, you know, I think one or the other is going to win out. We're either going to be decentralized and not have mass adoption, or we're going to have mass adoption, and that mass adoption is going to be driven by centralized organizations.
Okay, so if you had to send one person to the gauntlet, like to fight Nancy Pelosi to the death for the future of crypto, you know, in a legislative sort of way, not in like fisticuffs, although who knows where we're going to be in 2 to 4 years. It could devolve to that. If it was like a physical thing, I'd send Charles Hoskinson. But also, if it was like a chess game, I would have said Vitalik, but he got beat by like 3 or 4 people recently, so I don't know. I mean, we don't need to do that. But also, like, can you imagine if that's what it comes to? Like, you know, they're banning code left and right. The smart contracts are regulated. The stable coins are regulated. You know, we might see that kind of like a literal rising up.
Now, again, like Neil put in, the U.S. I'm going to go up to his tweet. I know he jumped off, but like, the government can shut down a DApp. Well, they didn't really. They just said that, hey, like U.S. addresses, like you're not going to be able to use that. They didn't shut it down. It can still exist, but everything that they can have control over are going to be like, well, you can use that, but if you are seen using that, then you can't use USDC, you can't use this, you can't use that. I know Aave, there was some, I don't know if it's true, I don't want to speculate, but there were some stories out there about some users being blacklisted from Aave because someone dusted them with that 0.1 ETH from Tornado Cash. Now, again, it got fixed,
I think I saw that. Yeah.
For like a couple hours, they could not utilize Aave's front end because someone sent them 0.1 ETH from Tornado Cash. I know.
Well, and some good actor sent a bunch to like celebrities like Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah. And good on him. You know what I mean? Like what a great way, I think, to illustrate that kind of a point. But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, they didn't really shut it down. But they're always watching. But like the fact that they let they're watching and they're gonna that one action is like it's like a domino. What do they always say? The first they came for so and so, and then they came for so and so. I just feel like it's an ominous precedent.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of someone was driving a Ferrari or over the last month, 15 people got in accidents with Ferraris. So the U.S. government said you can't have a Ferrari anymore.
Sure. Well, and this is why, are you guys hip to like some of the on-off chain hybrid solutions for stuff? Like, do you know about Disco XYZ?
No.
Oh, well, it's Disco, but the website is disco.xyz. I have one of my just favorite people in the crypto space right now is Evan McMullen. And it's not just because we have, a common nickname. She is brilliant and she is leading a super talented team at Disco. And their whole thing is they have a solution called Your Data Backpack. And the premise is that we love the blockchain because it's immutable, because it's an unalterable, publicly searchable record. But what about the stuff that you don't want to be public? It's not always a great idea to walk around with your bank account hanging out. Or in the future, when people are getting POAPs for attending a service at their mosque, when 9/11 happens, there is all kinds of historical precedent for public data being weaponized against people groups. Most notably, I can think of the Holocaust. Evan told a fantastic story to me. I interviewed her for the show, and she told a great story about, the way that people's public data was systematically used against them. And the blockchain is like, Adolf Hitler's dream in that regard. Anybody who wants to weaponize your public data, anybody can send you a token that you cannot approve or deny, that you cannot shield from the public. So what they're creating is an on-chain sort of identity. The basic way it works is like you have an off-chain credential, and I might explain this wrong. You might have to listen to it again, but you have an off-chain credential that links to your data backpack, which is on chain, and you get to approve off chain anything you want to approve or deny. And then you can sign it in order to say, yeah, I want this thing to be public, or no, I don't want this thing to be public. I want to keep it. It'll be a great solution for it. I was thinking about all you guys. I thought of Alex because of, medical records. That would be a great use case for this kind of technology. Driver's licenses where you have to reveal all kinds of information, but also just like, it'd be great to have my blood type on chain, but I don't want anybody to be able to see it, I think check out Disco.
First of all, it's such a crazy, simple concept that I can't believe I didn't like. Why can't we just reject tokens? Like, why can't we just turn off getting to it's I can't believe like no one has like brought this up. Yeah, that's insane. But also like the whole weaponizing the chain against you is such a crazy concept. With this Tornado Cash thing, and like this is going to be a little bit dark, but like I kind of would love to dust my enemies with Tornado Cash. Like, can you imagine just like you hate someone and like you can send them to prison with like sending them 2 cents. Like, it's just such a crazy fucking concept. Like, it's like, oh, I hate you. Here's 2 cents. Go to jail. Like, it's
right. Weird. It's the new diss track. Like, forget that. We're just gonna dust it with ETH. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or yeah, no, absolutely.
Heliomancer, Alex is in the chat, and he even said like it's wild that you can't turn off deposits to your wallet, which is great. Like I have, if you go into MetaMask and you actually look at like what's in there, like there's so many things you're like, I don't even know what the heck that is, because they just that's dusting attacks. They send out, you know, these random coins and they hope that you engage with them, and then all of a sudden they have access to your wallet and they can drain it. Like it's and that's why some people are still so scared of crypto, because they don't understand all the nuances to that, you know. And I think, you know, you have people waiting, you know, they want exposure to the space, they want exposure to Bitcoin, but they don't know how to open up a wallet. They don't know what self-custody means. They don't know any of that stuff. So that's why people look to that, you know, an ETF, whenever that does come. It will eventually come, but who knows if it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm sure they're going to wait until BlackRock gets all their Bitcoin, and then maybe they might let the plebes get it. But yeah, that's why people want that. They want that access, but not, or that exposure, but not have to worry about, you know, their private keys, not worrying about, oh my God, I forgot my password. Now I can never access this stuff again. Like, they don't have to worry about all that.
Yeah. My hot take is that people should be scared. I think if people are not scared, like, then they probably don't understand it well enough to play with it safely. And I
prefer them to be cautious rather than scared, because like
fair.
Fear brings other emotions that I think will lock you down and not let you grow, not let you take chances and take risks. And I think crypto is a great spot to take risks if you do it wisely, or if you do it, you know, like I never thought I'd put anything on chain. I thought I was going to live on Coinbase my entire life, but I took a chance to put things on chain and experience that. And I'm so much better for it now because I took the time to learn it. If I was too scared of that, I would never have ventured out.
No, that's a good point.
I think what would be really helpful is, you know, if there was a sort of like, you know, in the development world, you have your production server, your test server, you know, different variations, right? Like if we had a BTC test net that was publicly available where everyone could play on with fake tokens, right? Mm-hmm. So people could just come in. They don't need to spend real money because it's a stepping stone, right? No one wants to spend real money to learn something. It's just no one wants to do that.
Every electronic stock exchange has paper trading for that exact reason. Mm-hmm. So you can learn all the ins and outs of not only trading itself, but the user interface and all the what each button does without risking any of your own money.
Yeah, I mean, we just need Bitcoin paper trading, and people would, I feel, be more
Bitcoin
ready
paper
to learn.
Custody.
Yeah,
let's put that on the discussion for next Thursday.
Okay, let's do that one, and let's also do. I just came up with a great idea for an escrow/wallet cleaning solution. We can call it Dust Buster.
There you go.
I don't know how it works yet, but I like the title.
I think that name's patented,
we can sell it.
But yes.
Yeah, but we could like spell it with a V, but make
with
it
a dollar sign T.
Yeah, with a yeah, get our TM up there really quick. I have this ETH Merge article, and I can share my screen really quick. Do you guys want to read through it just real quick, and we can share a good resource with folks as the ETH Merge is coming up? How do you feel?
Yeah, I know the article you're talking about. Feel free.
Alex wants you to read us a bedtime story there, Mihir. So maybe you can read the article to us.
Yeah, Mihir, do you want to read it? I'm
the
thinking.
ETH Merge bedtime story.
I'm not going to put him on the spot like that.
How about 1, 2, 3?
Oh.
How cool, right? Look at this. Okay, so everybody, if you're listening along at home, this is Ethereum.org. And you can go there. There's a couple of backslashes, /en/upgrades/merge /. But if you just go to Ethereum.org, they have a search bar. You can type merge, and it takes you to this handy dandy, nifty little page where it talks all about the upcoming merge. These are the headlines. That the Ethereum mainnet will soon merge with the Beacon Chain proof of stake system, which will mark the end of proof of work for Ethereum and the full transition, to proof of stake. The merge will reduce Ethereum's energy consumption by 99.5%. But what I want to point out to you specifically from this article is They have a handy section called misconceptions about the merge. So guys, I'm going to just rattle some of the highlights off, but if you want me to stop in a particular one and we can expand it, let me know. Because I actually was laboring under some false conceptions myself. For example, I think this is the most prominent one that I'm seeing right now. There is a misconception that the merge will reduce gas fees. This is false. The merge is a change of consensus mechanism, not an expansion of network capacity, and therefore it will not result in lower gas fees. So essentially, while we transition to proof of stake, it doesn't change any of the other parameters that influence the ability to process transactions. It's not going to increase the capacity of the network. It's not going to make the network super, super fast. That's the job of layer twos. I know Vitalik is very bullish on layer twos, Arbitrum, Polygon, Immutable X, to roll up transactions and make them go faster, make them go more cheaply. You guys have thoughts on that?
Yeah, and like this will allow the next, not the next, but the future update that will lower the gas fees. It's around a process called sharding, which I'm familiar with because that's how Elrond keeps their fees low. That's something that the proof of stake upgrade allows that sharding and the rest of the upgrades to kind of take place. Like this is kind of going to open up Ethereum to all the other upgrades that they have planned for it, which is one of these is to reduce the gas fees.
I don't remember seeing what Vitalik said specifically about, I don't think he said a when about sharding. I think he was just kind of like, let's get through this and see.
I read somewhere he said it was going to be 55% complete ETH is after this merger or something like that. Like he said something where it's only like halfway done in his eyes.
So after the merge comes the surge, which is the next phase, and the surge will introduce sharding. I know.
After the surge,
are you making that up? Is that really
is
what's
he going to have the purge?
The purge, yeah, that's the theory one. But for those who aren't sort of familiar, I wanted to introduce exactly, why it won't reduce gas fees and what sharding is, right? I guess to start off, and I'm oversimplifying it right now, which we'll get more in depth into it in a later discussion. But sharding is essentially splitting, transactions into little separate bits so that, they can occur simultaneously and also be processed faster, right? Elrond has great sharding capacity. You can see transactions are super speedy. Essentially, the sharding will not happen until much later after the merge. So everyone who thinks, the merge will reduce gas fees, no. All it's doing is it's taking Ethereum from proof of work, which is where people mine Ethereum using their GPUs, where essentially, people use their computers to crack the Ethereum encryption to mine Ethereum into a proof of stake, which is essentially, what, blockchains like Cardano, etc. use. So it's really just going from proof of work to proof of stake. But, although it won't reduce gas fees, I think that is a reason why we may see a possible small bull run in layer twos, because a lot of people right now, as you said, Evan, are thinking, oh, it'll reduce gas fees, When people find out it won't do anything to gas fees, what happens then? There's going to be a sudden influx on social media about, oh, gas fees are staying the same. We need layer twos more than ever. I guarantee there's going to be a layer two propaganda spreading on social media as soon as the merge happens. And for those who aren't familiar about layer twos, right, the way layer twos work is currently, Ethereum transactions happen on Ethereum, but, they're often slow, congested, etc. Layer two is really split into two sections, right? ZK rollups and optimistic rollups. It's very simple. People make it complicated, but it's very simple, right? ZK rollups, they basically take the Ethereum transactions off chain. So Matic basically takes it off chain, completes the transactions, bundles it, and then puts it back on Ethereum. And it essentially reduces the load on Ethereum, right? You have optimistic rollups, which do the same, but optimistic rollups basically, they don't check the transactions are correct. They just work on a bad faith system where they hope all the transactions are correct, and they hope that there's no bad faith actors. But then they do the same thing. They complete the transaction, put it back onto Ethereum, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. But I think when the merge happens and it doesn't reduce gas fees, Optimism, Arbitrum, Matic, all these will possibly go into a little mini bull run.
Oh, I absolutely think so. I think there's going to be, I expect there will be some price action that reflects, the roll-ups are really almost ready to go in terms of the work that's been done on all those different layer twos. So far as I know, Arbitrum's done a ton of stuff. Mutable X has done a ton of stuff. Polygon's done a ton of stuff. I want to zoom in a little on something you said about proof of stake, because there's a really great explanation.
Well, I know that the biggest difference between proof of work and proof of stake is as Mihir said, the mining of the blocks, or the confirmation of the data being accurate on the blockchain. As the blocks continue, right now is being done through proof of work, which means that computers are working to solve algorithms in order to mine the block, and then are paid mining rewards. And that's where the energy consumption, 95% of the energy consumption lives on the proof of work, because these computers are literally racing each other to see which one gets
well, and they're
done.
all expending resources.
Right.
And as soon as it's not like the energy goes back into the computer if you don't get the answer right.
Exactly.
They had an elegant explanation on their website, but I guess that's what I wanted to highlight, was that with proof of stake, a validator node is chosen totally at random, based in part on how many coins they have locked up, how many coins they're staking. It's just assigned randomly. So instead of all these different pieces competing for it, the network just picks one of the validators. And that kind of brings me to this one here. A lot of people are saying like, oh, I should become a validator right now, because running a validator node, you can do it for just my friends, for just 32 ETH. Let's run out and buy one today. But something I also did not know is that anybody can sync their own copy of Ethereum, i.e. run a node. It's not necessarily a validator node. If you don't stake ETH, you won't be handed those little proofs to solve. But everybody who has a node plays a valuable part in securing the network, and anybody can do it if you have a computer that's got like 1 or 2, what does it say? Yeah, 1 to 2 terabytes of available storage and an internet connection. These computers do not propose blocks, but they still serve a critical role in securing the network by holding all block proposers accountable, by listening for new blocks and verifying their validity on arrival according to the network consensus. So it seems tough if you've never done it before. And honestly, I've never set up a machine before, but I have watched other people do it. And I have seen a lot of tutorials on YouTube. I think something like even this website, the Ethereum Foundation, probably has great documents for how to set up your own node. I think Lido does. It's something you absolutely can do. Like if you got the computer, people have done it. They can walk you through screen by screen. My understanding is that depending on the network you're trying to set up a node for, it might take longer. Depending on how intensive it is, it might take longer or less time or whatever. If you're that kind of a person, if you got a spare computer lying around with 1 to 2 terabytes of data and you want to help secure the network, that'd be a cool thing to do.
I know one of the things that is a positive for the merge with the proof of stake is it gets rid of the energy argument that many are throwing around about how that's Bitcoin's biggest vulnerability. I think in the public eye is just the fact that it's quote unquote so bad for the environment because it uses energy, even though there's a lot of articles out there that talks about the renewable energy that they use to mine Bitcoin, things like that. But I think the fact that Ethereum will not be using that kind of energy, I think will make it more attractive to a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was listening to the Kevin O'Leary podcast. There was something really interesting he mentioned about energy consumption and why the energy consumption may have possibly led to the dump in the market that we had, but will also lead into regulation for crypto, right? And how it's all tied into energy consumption. obviously, all these big corporations, they spend a lot of energy, right? And to sort of act against their energy consumption, they need to purchase carbon credits, right? Purchase carbon credits and then, say, hey, we spent this much energy, we purchased this much carbon credits, we're net neutral. So a lot of these blockchain companies, blockchain mining companies, any company associated with, blockchain and Bitcoin mining, right? What Kevin was saying was all these companies were saying that they were purchasing an equal or, an even bigger amount of carbon credits to the amount of Bitcoin they were mining, right? All these companies were like, no, Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining, we're purchasing adequate carbon credits, we're being carbon neutral and energy efficient. But then what was happening was the government came out and said, oh, okay, so if that's what you're doing, then from now on, you need an auditor to sign off on your carbon credit purchases to show that you are actually indeed carbon neutral. What Kevin was saying was, as soon as the government said this, all the BlackRocks, everyone dialed up their fund managers and said, dump all of your, blockchain mining company stocks, dump, whatever crypto you have, because all these companies are running on false info. They cannot back up their carbon credit claims with audits.
Wow.
And then people just started dumping, because if you fail an audit, that's a strike against compliance. That's it. Like,
yeah,
you're
can't do that.
One, you have exactly massive fines and you're done as a company. So everyone started dumping. And then, so Kevin was also saying, but when Ethereum then transits from proof of work to proof of stake and the energy consumption is much lower, these companies will have a much better chance of meeting compliance for carbon neutrality and energy consumption. And therefore, when these companies can start proving that they're actually carbon neutral again, everyone will start flocking into investing into the blockchain mining companies and the blockchain itself, because we will actually have regulation and compliance. And I don't know exactly how accurate all this is, but that's the information he was relaying.
Man, I mean, it makes sense. Mihir, are you a Kevin O'Leary stan?
No, I hate Kevin.
You can, just the way you called him Kevin like 3 times. I don't know. Maybe it's because you have such a nice voice.
I think calling
that
him,
it sounds nice.
I think calling him Mr. Wonderful is an injustice to how much I dislike him. No, I used to watch him on Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. He is also always a dick, but at the same time, I think you got to listen to successful people, even if they are a bit mean sometimes. But yeah.
Kevin, if you're listening, we stan you, man. And you can sponsor our show.
Please.
Or come on our show as a guest, and we'll ask you hard-hitting questions, but we're here for it, man.
We can talk about WonderFi as well.
Yeah.
The last thing about the merge and the switch from proof of work to proof of stake that I think will start to impact retail and impact the market the most is the fact that the rewards that they're giving will shift from the mining rewards to the staking rewards. And many people are calling it a triple halving event, where the amount of ETH inflation, or the amount of new Ethereum entering the market through those block rewards will lower to the point where there's a chance that with the proof of stake and the EIP 1559 that went into effect last summer, that actually burns a portion of the ETH gas fees, that we could see some real deflationary pressure on Ethereum. I know that's Arthur Hayes wrote an essay around ETH, took in some of the macro points that his view on the macro points, and the fact that he's anticipating the Fed to pivot or on the rates, the fact that he's anticipating a huge shift in the amount of ETH available, and that will bring some supply shock. He wrote a really, really strong bull thesis, through this merge. Now, some could argue he's writing that so that retail can be his exit liquidity. I'm just saying, use your own judgment on that. But his essay, it's pretty long, but it was really thorough and really a good read. I'll try to post it in the Discord, or maybe we can post it in the description later.
Show notes too. Definitely.
It's a really, really good read, but it is a bit lengthy.
Nice. Okay, nice. Did you see this while you were talking? Tori said about Mr. Wonderful, hate and love are so similar.
Wow. I didn't even know you could bring up comments like that. That's pretty cool.
Isn't that so great? I also can Mihir read us all a bedtime story? Yeah.
Evan is the
Alex
hosting guru, breaking out all those new tricks.
So I think this is a pretty helpful, informative bit about the merge. The information, again, for folks listening in the future can be found at ethereum.org. Just search the merge. And I did verify that they do have a resource about the benefits of running your own node and how to set it up. It's all kinds of good stuff, setting up your own node. You don't have to rely on another node, so you can process your own transactions. You don't send out personal information to other nodes. You can have access whenever you need it. It's censorship resistant. And of course, you're doing your part to help secure the network. So, if you run into Vitalik at a conference and you want his autograph, I bet you'll have a higher chance of, getting an attaboy or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he'll give you a free pair of unisocks.
Yeah, you set up a validator, you get an NFT in return as proof, and then you show it to Vitalik.
And he just is like,
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have to run. If you have a couple more minutes, I was gonna wind down soon, but I kind of thought that maybe it'd be good to get before we go, if you had any other tips, tricks, resources to share. And then I think it was you, Joe, who suggested forever ago that we do our green candles, red candles on the podcast. I love that idea.
Oh, what's that?
That was one of the things that I had mentioned as something we could have some fun with and get things that we like, we don't like, things that are positive or negative that we see right now. And because our Discord is very much focused on the NFT project, that sometimes we don't get to hear just what other things that are interesting to us.
This is a bit off topic, but we were talking about things we don't like.
Just tell it like it is, Mihir.
In Discord recently, we were talking about different books to read, right? Have you guys read How to Win Friends and Influence People?
I read it in college, and I vaguely remember
everyone.
I've heard a lot about it. I've never actually read it.
Yeah, everyone was like, "This is such a great book. You should read it." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And I started reading it. And I'm just like, this seems like a book for assholes. Like the book starts off and it's just like it goes into principles of like how to make friends and like get people to like you, right? And it's just simple things like, be nice to people, remember people's names, don't criticize people. And so I'm just
that's right.
I'm just like, how much of an asshole do you need to be to know that you should remember people's names and to be nice to people? Like, why do you need a book to tell you to be a nice person? Like, it just made no sense to me. I'm like, and people did this as a course. They offered it as a course back then. I'm just like, you really needed a course to tell you to be a good person? Like, there's no way. So I don't know. It was just a very weird book. Yeah.
So did you finish it, or are you still working your way through it, or did you give up?
I'm still working my way through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it gets better. Like, hopefully, because I've heard so many people say so many good things about it that I hope there's other nuggets in there than like be nice and remember people's names.
Yeah, I remember liking it, but I don't really have. It's not like I read it once. I didn't go back to it, so it must not have been that great to me. I guess.
Do you guys have any book hot takes or like hot takes in general of like things everyone likes but you don't like, media or books? End it on a friendly note.
I don't like Alex. I hate his stupid mustache. I'm just kidding, dude. I love you.
It's a mutual feeling. Class action against Alex.
It wouldn't be a podcast episode if we didn't pick on Alex.
If we didn't rip on Alex, yeah.
Yeah. Shoot him while he's off. Okay, hot take. I gotta let me let that stew for just a second.
It's not crypto related. I guess movie. I've never seen and have no desire to see the movie Titanic.
Really?
Oh, really? That was the first time I saw bare breasts on a film screen.
when Evan
7.
became a man.
I'll never ever forget it. They had everyone in school was talking about it, about how it was a 3-hour movie and it was PG-13 and there's nudity and Leo was in it. And I remember I came home one day from school and it was really weird that like I didn't have a babysitter or my mom home because I was like 7 or 8. I think I was 8. And one day I came home and she had bought that. It was VHS. It was a dual VHS movie set. And I was like, I don't know how long I have, but I like grabbed it. I ran to the living room. I threw it in and I hit fast forward. And I was just waiting. And then the Draw Me Like a French Girl. And I hit play and I was like, wow. So Kate, if you're listening, I feel like I should apologize to you. But
I love how
then Evan's mom came home and his voice has changed and
I watched all the way to the end because I was like, is there more? Is there more? Is there more? And I rewound all the way to the end of that. The nudity happens, since you're never going to see it, towards the like start middle, and it's brief for a 3-hour movie. It's like 5 minutes. And my 8-year-old self fast forwarded all the way to the end. It probably took 15 minutes in front of the VCR. And then I had to rewind it 15 minutes again, both tapes. And I was like, what a ripoff. That's it.
I love how Evan's experience is watching. He didn't even watch the start. Just from that point onwards, like the beginning of Titanic just doesn't matter to him. Just that point onwards.
Joe, no, and it wasn't even onwards. It was just that point. I fast forwarded through the rest to try and find more nudity.
Yeah.
Well, so
that's the life of a kid. Joe, why do you not want to watch Titanic? Or what's the story behind that? It's very random.
There isn't much of a story, to be honest. I never saw it, and now like it was everywhere. It was like when it came out, and that song was everywhere, and it was just like this huge deal. And I just never really had any desire to watch it. And then the more people told me that I should watch it, and then I just was like, no, I don't want to now. Like, it was almost like,
forget about it. Yeah,
exactly. Like if you're going to make a big deal that I haven't seen it, now I don't want to see it. Like now I'm going to go against the hype.
Yeah.
Have you seen Titanic, Mihir?
Oh, actually, to be honest, I don't think I have.
I have since watched the full movie multiple times and not been sad about it. It's a long movie and it's like it takes a couple minutes to get going. But like I'm the kind of guy, like we went and saw, Kim and I saw Top Gun, the sequel, the other day. It was the first time we saw a movie in theaters together, and I cried like 6 times. Okay. I'm like a super like sappy, easy to suspend disbelief, but also Titanic, I think, was a well-made movie. Had drama, had action, it had love, it had secrecy, it had class struggle. I don't know. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I had no idea that we were going to go on a Titanic tangent. By the way, that was not my purpose. I was just looking for a quote unquote hot take.
Titanic is one of those things that you see clips around the internet just so many times everywhere that it feels like you've watched the movie. Like I've seen so many random clips. I'm just like, I know what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily.
Spoiler: the ship sinks.
Yeah. Oh man, why'd you tell him, dude?
Yeah, unfortunate. Top Gun though, I hadn't seen the first one.
Oh.
And I watched the sequel. The sequel was my first one. Excellent movie.
Right. They killed
so
it.
good.
Really good. That
and
is
the
one
beach
I've heard
scene,
really
I'm sure Kim enjoyed.
I want to see it.
Yeah. Oh, the beach scene was great. The first movie, I had not seen it. We watched it before so I could get caught up to speed. And I would have given the first movie like 3 out of 5 stars. Had some cool stuff, but like, not my favorite. But the second one, I was like, it was awesome. It was better than the first one.
And they did those stunts for real. Like, those weren't like CGI. They actually flew those planes. And Tom Cruise was talking, I don't know how real this is, but Tom Cruise was talking about like he did so much training that he got injured, and he went to the doctor later on and he found jet fuel in his blood. Literally like ice in my veins. No, jet fuel in my blood. So
I read about that. Kim and he sent every actor to like 3 months of training, and it was all the footage on jets was really, they did it in 2-seater jets is what it was. And so there was, the Navy didn't let them fly planes, but they flew official Navy planes, and official Navy pilots were in like the front and the actors were in the back seat. So they were really feeling the G forces And I don't know, the cinematography just has this, like the first movie that was one of the best parts about the first movie, I thought, was like how cool the planes looked and the aircraft carriers. But this one, it's like even more like the camera shakes. They really did a good job with the cinematography to make you feel like you were in the plane with them, or like, their cheeks are melting. It was incredible. It's good, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I cried like 6 times.
I would like to see that one.
Mihir, did you cry? Do you cry at movies, Mihir?
I don't think I've cried at a movie ever. But I can start practicing for you, Evan. I'll start working my way down across each movie.
So cold.
I also watched Nope by Jordan Peele.
Oh, I want to see that.
It was different. I liked it. Very, very. I won't say any spoilers, but it was very. I'm a big fan of Get Out and Us.
Yeah, Us was one of my favorites. I loved Us.
Yeah.
Is it?
What's your hot take, Evan?
My hot take? I don't know. Tell me first, because I still don't know my hot take. Was it as good as Us? Because Us was great.
Rank it. I mean, controversial opinion between my friends, but I rank Get Out first, and then Nope, and then Us. I need to rewatch Us. I loved Us. I did prefer Get Out more. It's different. It's not as scary as Us. Get Out's not scary. It's a very different movie that I can't really say anything about. It's a fun watch. Get Out, Us is like a scary watch. Get Out was like a mind-numbing watch, like what's going to happen. Yeah. Nope is like a fun watch.
I'm trying to think of a really controversial hot take, and man, I just don't know that I have one. I was trying to think of like a crypto hot take.
That's okay. We'll save it for next time. We'll
save it for next time.
But
I will tell you my quick green candle, red candle would be my green candle is that I got done with a great week at Elvis Week. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. I was partnering with a company called the Legacy Council. They're bringing Elvis on chain using NFTs in the metaverse in partnership with Elvis Presley Enterprises to give fans for the first time real stewardship and ownership of Elvis's story, which is really cool, and governance decision rights about what are we going to do with Elvis in the metaverse? What are we going to use these funds for? I think that'll be really cool, and we'll probably reach a lot of fans. And then honestly, the only thing cooler than that is my big, huge Scrivener canvas. Oh my gosh. The reflection is terrible because I got the plastic, but man, he's huge. He's so big and he's so beautiful. I can't wait for you to get yours, Joe. It's like a full-on
it's half the size. Man. It's like, it comes up to like above my waist. Like,
I've still got mine in the plastic.
Your picture here did not make it look that big at all.
I know.
I said to Kim, I don't know. I feel kind of like I was going to put it in my office, but like, I don't want people to walk in my office and there's just like a big picture of me there on the wall.
Yeah. It requires quite a bit of wall space to hang up as well. Like it's a big piece of real estate.
Yeah. It's a big piece of real estate.
I'm excited.
I don't know if I have a red candle. I don't know. E-gold is the red candle. I bought back in at like 57 after it got out of the 60s, thinking we were going back up, and now we're down, which is fine. We'll go up eventually again, but like that's my literal red candle. Is ETH is currently at this recording 50, or E-gold is currently $53, and I bought it at 57. So my swing trades, man.
Buy the top, sell the bottom.
That's right. Sticking with the theme.
My green candle was, as I said in the opening, we just got back from a cruise. We did a Disney family cruise with me, my wife,
Disney cruise,
my 3 kids. Yeah, it was a Disney cruise. Our first ever Disney cruise. Our first real cruise that the kids remember being on. To be honest with you, where they were old enough to actually like have some fun and engage, and we'll remember it. And it was phenomenal. It was honestly probably the best family vacation we ever took. So it was just an amazing, week that we had on the ship, and enjoying each other's company, and just, disconnecting. Like, there's something to be said. Like I came back to like 200 plus work emails, but like for that week, not having internet, not having any email, not having, I had no idea what Bitcoin was doing for the week, like nothing. It was just total disconnection, and getting back to, being a dad and being a husband. It was just really, really, really a lot of fun.
I'm sorry we didn't ask you about that sooner, because that sounds delightful.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It really was. And Red Candle, it's tough to come back from vacation, just going to be honest with you, like going back to work. And especially now, the school year is, 2 to 3 weeks away for some that are listening. This may already be back at school or college. And, that brings a lot of, growth opportunities, a lot of positivity, but shifting from that vacation brain back to your work brain takes probably a week to get back into it. I felt like it took me a little bit to get it. And I actually got COVID when I came back. So I got off the boat. I dodged it for 2 straight years. I got off the boat, wasn't feeling great, got home, tested, and I was positive. So
wait, so are you
now?
Yeah, like
I'm good. That was last week. Last week I had it. I'm clear. I tested positive last Monday, and then by Friday I was negative and able to go into work.
And then Mihir, you had it like right before Joe did, for like the 5th time.
I honestly, at this point, I think they're just lying to me and saying I'm positive. Like, I was just working out, I was chilling, like I had no symptoms. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the cruise, Joe. Like, well-deserved vacation for you. And you've been working super hard on the ducks as well. So, yeah.
Quack, 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 quack.
Quack, quack, baby.
Quack, indeed. Yeah.
Tori, my kids are 13, 12, and 7. 13 and 12 are girls, and 7 is 7-year-old boy.
Joe, you said that they had gone, you went with your kids before, like when they were too young?
My I guess Max, my youngest, was a baby at the time. He was probably a year old or so. He was still in diapers. And my girls were like 7 and 6 at the time, or 8 and 7, something like that. And we went, my grandmother passed that year, and my uncle took the proceeds from her estate and took everybody on a cruise. So it was like literally it was everybody. It was like my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, like it was everybody.
Wow.
And the girls like had a good time, but they don't remember it. And Max, like, there was not a lot to do on a cruise ship when you have like a 1-year-old baby. Like, he couldn't even go in the pool because he was in diapers. So this was like our real first experience as a family on a cruise ship, and we really enjoyed it.
Is it about, have you been to Disneyland or Disney World? And is it like cheaper? I feel like it would be a lot more fun because everything is right there. Oh, it's not cheaper?
No, it's I'm a huge, we as a family are huge Disney fans. Like, we've been to Disney World many times. We go probably every other year, if not maybe a little bit more. And we're huge Disney people. So that's why we did the Disney cruise. But the Disney cruise, you're paying the Disney premium. Like, I could have gotten 2 cruises for like a Royal Caribbean or something like that for the same price as one Disney cruise. So you're definitely paying for the Disney premium, but you're also getting the Disney experience. I mean, everything was so clean. Everybody was so friendly. The food was phenomenal. The ship is amazing. There's so much stuff to do. Like, we didn't even get off at the ports. My wife took the girls off just to say, like, we went to Mexico. They went into the port and like bought a magnet. Like, that's what they did. Because there's just so much to do on the boat that we didn't want to get off it. But yeah, it was definitely not cheap, but it was definitely worth it.
Nice. Mihir, what are your red and green candles?
And green candle. I started editing the podcasts this week. It's like my first time touching editing software. And it was really fun.
All the bumpers and stuff. Awesome. So cool. Yeah, dude. I can't wait for people to. They'll already have seen them by the time this episode airs, but like,
yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, like, I spent like the entire day learning. It was really fun. I enjoyed that experience. I think like, because I already do like Canva graphics anyway. So like, I have fun with that. So I was like, oh, this is also super cool now. So that's probably a green candle. Red candle. I don't know if I have a specific red candle. I think like I'm trying to think what my red candle would be. I
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, that is my red candle. No, I'm joking. I guess it's a last week thing, but like isolation from COVID, like you can't leave the house, which is like boring. But yeah, that's about it.
Lisa says her red candle is Blender. Or is that your green candle, Lisa? I don't know. I'll tell you, it's a good green candle to hang out with you guys.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Evan, for putting this together.
I really do think we, we should come up with. I think it was it Mac who was saying on the meeting. You missed the joke because you had a migraine, but at the end I was telling him, yeah, we're going to do this. He said at the end of the meeting, anybody have anything else? And I said, yeah, I'm just going to briefly read the Satoshi white paper. But then wouldn't it be fun to one day do like our white paper book club like we always talked about? We could do that on the podcast. And we could make like a drinking game out of it or something.
It'd be fun for us. I hope people would listen.
Yeah. I think we could abridge it and Mihir could read it and that might put him to sleep. But then,
listen.
like...
Drinking at 7 a.m. is a bit too much.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Time zones.
But I will join, of course.
Okay.
I think it would be really fun, like white paper book club, like white paper podcast. I was gonna like do like podcast sessions where I just run through white papers anyway, but I think doing it as a group would be so much more fun.
Well, and I think that's a good point to bring in to the audience who's listening now. If you have suggestions, feedback, our goal is to really make this the best crypto podcast and not just make it like one kind of thing. We got a big team. We got a big community. We've got lots of friends. And so if there's a kind of content you want to see, Alex, when he first envisioned doing a podcast one day, he wanted to do it like Car Talk and have call-ins. Troubleshoot your crypto questions. We could do an expanded news segment. We've talked about all kinds of stuff. A white paper book club would be great. We've got one-on-one interviews with people, with our teammates, with other teams, people in this space. And so if there's a format we're not covering or a format you want to see us cover, like hit us up. But I would be so here for that. White paper book club all day. Fellas, do you have anything else? Other thoughts, good jokes, words of wisdom?
My words of wisdom is don't get wrecked by the merge.
Yeah, or the purge.
Yeah.
First we merge, then we surge, then we purge.
That's a really good point. Know that anytime there is an event where people can pinpoint the date, there's a lot of volatility around that date. So just be safe and be smart.
Yeah. Good advice. And if you do get wrecked, call us. We'll be here for you with your questions and your great crypto content. Joe, Mihir, everybody out in the metaverse, thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, everybody.
Rise up, my friends.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Rising Up. Hey, before you go, I've got a quick favor. Would you please take a second to leave us a rating and a comment or quick review? Aside from listening, it's the most important thing you can do to help our show, and we really appreciate it. If you want more from our team, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Faceless Many. That's where you'll find the link to our Discord server and all the latest updates. If you'd like to be on our show, if you have questions for our team, or if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, send us an email to hello, that's HALLO, at facelesscrypto.com, or get in touch through the contact form at our website. Thanks again for listening to the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. Until next time, rise up.